Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praise to our boy Yahweh Shem Shai, Boshem Kakarash. Call Halalim na Yahweh Shem Shai, Boshem Kakarash. That's in the ancient Hebrew, saying all praises to Yahweh in the name of Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Yahweh is the correct name for the God of the Bible, who the world they call Jehovah, God or Yahweh. His son's true name in the Hebrew is Yahushai, who the world they call Jesus Christ. I want to give the honors unto our elders and apostles of Great Millstone. And shalom to all our brothers and Modi are pushing this word in sincerity and in truth to all that believe in this gospel. Shalom. Alright, this lesson, as you can see here, is from Wayan Gavidas. It says fear of a severe and ugly recession in 2023. Which I'm gonna play the video and get some precept and laws in this being edifying to you like out there. Because what we're witnessing right now, is basically is ultimately a prophecy fulfilled. As the scripture says, the word will come out and most time out, not return until void, but accomplish that dream speakers. So every single prophecy it has written, everything come to pass. Let's just play it real quick. Everything come to pass. Let's just play it real quick. Everything come to pass. Let's just play it real quick. Everything come to pass. Let's just play it real quick.
If you are an investor or a trader,
Everything
I
come
don't.
to pass. Let's just play it real quick.
If you are an investor or a trader,
Everything
I
come
don't.
to pass. Let's just play it real quick.
If you are an investor or a trader,
Everything
I
come
don't.
to pass. Let's just play it real quick.
Need to
If
tell
you
you
are an
that
investor,
today was a bad day. Indian markets witnessed a bloodbath today. India's leading stock market index, the Sensex, was down by over 1,000 points. The Nifty, which represents the top 50 companies of India, fell by over 300 points. The global economy is vulnerable, and the resilience of the rupee also is being tested. The rupee fell to a record low against the dollar today. It breached the 81 mark. Earlier today, $1 was worth 81.23 rupees. Thankfully, by the end of the day, we saw some recovery. The Indian currency closed just above the 81 mark. In recent weeks, the Indian Reserve Bank has stepped in. It has tried to defend the rupee by selling dollars from its reserve. The RBI has deployed more than $80 billion so far this year. In September alone, the RBI sold $10 billion from its reserves. We can expect the RBI to make more such interventions in the future because of the hawkish sentiments within the global markets. But where is all this going? In recent months, the fears of a global recession have grown. We have been telling you about this. But is a recession certain? Is the worst now behind us? Or should we brace for more difficult times ahead? On Gravitas tonight, we will bring you an assessment of the global economy. Let's start off with the question that is on everyone's mind. Will there be a recession? The answer is this: yes, there is a heightened likelihood of a global recession in the near future. Increasingly, global institutions and leading experts are issuing warnings. Last week, we told you what the World Bank has said. In its latest assessment, it said there is now a real risk of a recession, a real risk. And now another expert has spoken out, economist Nouriel Roubini. He was one of the first experts who correctly predicted the 2008 financial crisis. He is now predicting another recession in 2023, and it will not be pretty. Here is what he said. I'm quoting: "It's not going to be a short and shallow recession. It's going to be severe, long, and ugly. A recession that will be severe, long, and ugly." Dr. Rubini made that prediction for the United States. He believes that the US will enter a recession by the end of this year. And we all know by now, when America sneezes, the world catches a cold. Dr. Rubini believes that as well. He says once the recession in America begins, it will spread to the rest of the world. The downturn could last all through 2023. Central bankers seem to agree with that assessment. Recently, the US Federal Reserve announced a rate hike. The signs of distress are showing. America's economic growth this year is now pegged at 0.2%. That is significantly less than the earlier estimate. The US was hoping to grow at 1.7% just a few months back. Unemployment numbers are not looking good either. The US Fed expects joblessness to grow. Unemployment rate in the US will rise to 3.8% this year and 4.4% next year. These numbers come after a blunt warning from the Federal Reserve. Last month, the Federal Reserve chairperson had said households will feel the pain.
While higher interest rates, slower growth, and softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they will also bring some pain to households and businesses. These are the unfortunate costs of reducing inflation. But a failure to restore price stability would mean far greater pain.
The question now is how much more pain will Americans have to bear? When times are tough, there are no easy choices. Other major economies are realizing this as well. Europe and China, two major engines of growth, they are struggling as well. Let's tell you about Europe first. A recession seems certain there. There is a major shortage of energy that has pushed up the prices, and in turn, inflation has spiked. In August, inflation in Europe stood at well over a whopping 9%. There are supply disruptions. Unemployment has remained well above 6%. So all the warning signs are flashing red. The situation in China could be worse. Youth unemployment is close to 20%. GDP growth has fallen below 1%. Yes, some of the economic pain in China is self inflicted. The zero COVID policies and repeated shutdowns have hit the Chinese economy hard. But remember, China is also the largest exporter of goods. So when global demand for goods goes down, production in China will also stumble. And it is happening already. Growth in exports has dropped from 18% in July to 7% in August. Where does this leave India? Yes, there are challenges, but so far the Indian economy has been insulated from the worst effects of the global slowdown. But countering the threat of a recession is not a one time thing, it is an ongoing process. As the popular saying goes, hope for the best and prepare for the worst. WION now available in your country.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's coming here, the worst of the worst, such as never was since there was a nation, you know. This is Ecclesiastes 12, verse 1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. So before the economic collapse come, because there will be an economic collapse when I transition over to a digital economy with the MOTB, you know, before things get as the scripture referred to the now as the beginning of sorrows. So before that day of sorrow come or those days of sorrow come, the scripture say, yo, you Israelites, which are you so-called Negroes, Native American, the spots Latinos, supposed to remember your creator. Turn to your Paul. It says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, in the day when the keepers of the host shall tremble. Keepers of the host represent, I'm referring to the financial leaders, which them speak of a recession, hard times. It says, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. Them speak about unemployment rising. I mean by the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. So people look to the future. Notice that things look, you know, dark, right? And that's basically fears of a severe and ugly recession in 2023. So it says what? And those that look out of the windows be darkened, and that's what's taking place right now. you know. It says, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the gardener is low, so business closing down due to harsh time. And he shall rise up by the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and the fears shall be in every way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and the desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about in the streets, and a master that come as well. A lot of people gonna basically commit suicide when this economy collapse or start collapsing, because it will collapse, and in the scripture says all these. Let's get it real quick. Yeah, let me get it from. I think it's better. Let me get it from Second Esdras. Yeah, this is Second Esdras chapter 17, 16, verse 17. Woe is me, woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? It says the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the poor shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? So we're actually in right now is the initial stages, of the great evils that the Most High bring upon the earth. It says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. And that's what happening right now. Things relatively easy to get. People can afford food same way, for the most part in these countries, so a lot of people think everything is okay, like for example in the US, and some first world countries, but things is waxing worse and worse and worse, and people, as have it said on this still, says prepare for a long and ugly recession, says Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom, the economist who predicted 2008 crash, and call him Dr. Doom. um Get a precept real quick. Oh, I think it's it. Alright, so this is Second Ezra chapter 7 verse 42. He answered me and said, this present life is not the end where much glory doeth abide. Therefore have they prayed for the weak, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of immortality for to come, when corruption is past. And that's it, this is just the end of the rulership of Esau, you know. Right, his kingdom, right, is collapsing, and our kingdom is going to come out of it. The scripture said the saints shall take the kingdom and possess it forever and ever, when our Lord Yahweh shall return. So I just came across this video, so we just moved to the quick lesson it. Hope it was edifying to look out there. Giving all praise to our poor Yahweh, Shem Shai, Shem Kakodash, the mothers and to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the full, Shalom.